Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton and we are still doing Guitar Heroes, and we cannot do Guitar Heroes without talking about the great Richard Thompson. And this is an album that is fraught with a lot of tension. This is Shoot Out the Lights by the husband and wife, Richard and Linda Thompson. Produced by Joe Boyd, and it came out on March 15th, 1982. And it was released on Joe Boyd's Hannibal label. This has gone on to become a very acclaimed work, and a lot of people say that it is the best thing that Richard Thompson has ever done. And I have to agree. I mean, Richard Thompson's done a lot of great stuff, but I think this is one that stands the test of time. And one listen will tell you. Now, this followed their 1979 album, Sunny Vista, and that album did not perform very well. It sold quite poorly, and as a result, Richard and Linda did not have a record deal. Now, they went on a tour with Jerry Rafferty, and they had done a few demo tracks in Oxfordshire. And later on that year, they still didn't have a contract. So Jerry Rafferty kind of stepped in and said, "Well, you know what? I'll finance a record for you guys." And he kind of used his contacts and networking, and got this album, this finished album, a contract. Now, it was recorded in 1980, in late 1980, in the fall. But as the album went on, there was this tension that sort of was going on between Richard and Jerry Rafferty. Richard Thompson kind of enjoyed this sort of spontaneous approach, and Jerry Rafferty was more time-consuming. It had a little bit more of a perfectionist kind of attitude. And as a result, Richard sort of felt left out. And so when they got around to mixing the album, Richard just didn't even bother to show up. He said, what's the point? They're not going to do what I say anyway. But eventually, after they mixed it down, these bootlegs started coming out called Rafferty's Folly, and Before Joe Could Pull the Trigger, these sort of jokey titles. But finally, Joe Boyd got the Thompsons onto his little label, Hannibal, and they went back into the studio and recorded this new album. What Joe Boyd sort of asked them to do was that the album be recorded in just a few days, so they could save the rest of the money and do a tour of the United States. And so Shoot Out the Lights were these new recordings of the songs that had been recorded with Jerry Rafferty, and then there were a couple of newer songs. And Linda was actually a few months pregnant when the album was recorded, so there was really no prospect of sort of this immediate release or even a tour. So by the time the album came out, the marriage was over, and that was the end of it. And so it was their last album together, but it went on to become their best-selling and one of their most acclaimed. And so it brought Richard Thompson back. It relaunched his career, and it restored his reputation. And so just sort of part of history. It's strange that an album that essentially chronicled a breakup of this couple ended up bringing one of the primary players back into the fold. Now, there was a single, Don't Renege on Our Love, that some folks know, that was released. But it holds up as just one of the great all-time albums, and worthy of repeated listenings. Just a fantastic offering from one of the great writers and great guitarists, Richard and Linda Thompson. Shoot Out the Lights. Today's daily record. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. In the meantime, I will see you all again tomorrow with another Daily Record.